So I think one of the best packaging examples in India is the brand Phool.
Yeah.
So,
Beautiful job.
Phool agarbattis. First of all, they look like pieces of art.
Yes.
They give you a
I
taste
think
of
so.
Kedarnath,
I think so.
of Rishikesh.
Yes.
And when you open the packaging, there's a small ribbon-like handle which helps you open it.
Open it.
And after you open it, there's a spoon-like instrument.
Yeah.
So when you light up the dhoop, you need a place to keep it.
Yes.
And usually you can't keep it on the furniture. So there's a spoon-like instrument
Where you can put it on
where you can keep it. You can actually use that instrument to move around the house so that you can show the dhoop to the entire house.
Yes.
So the entire house smells very good.
Correct.
I was so mind blown and fascinated by the small thought.
By the way, and that is the core of it, right? I think what you got to is the core of it. I actually agree with you. I think Phool is just phenomenal, I think, in terms of packaging, right? And I think it's just beautiful. It's actually 2 Bangalore people, I think, no? Or where are they?
I have no idea, sir.
I think the founders are from Bangalore. I think.
If the founders of Phool are watching this, great job, guys.
I think well done.
Big
well
fan.
Done. Yeah. So, no, but I think that is the essence of thoughtful packaging, right? The fact that you actually need a place to put it, the fact that you need to show it around, right? I think that's what you have to get to, right? And I think going back and linking it, it comes from deep consumer insight.
Yeah. And I was actually speaking to a lot of these consumers, sir.
Yeah.
Because agarbatti as a category has legacy brands.
Yeah.
But what Phool did is, let's package an experience.
Yeah.
Rishikesh is an experience.
Yes.
Kedarnath is an experience.
Correct.
Now, I've never been to Kedarnath.
Yeah.
But I would like to experience Kedarnath via aroma.
Yes.
And Phool acts as an instrument to help you experience Kedarnath without going to Kedarnath.
And I think this brings a very interesting angle, right? Which is storytelling. See, I think all brands are eventually about storytelling.
Yeah.
And I think functional stories don't work. You need a hero, villain, and a plot.
Explain that, sir. Functional stories don't work.
If you basically say, I don't know, I'm making it up, right? Here is a phone, like an Apple, right? You know, you can basically say, here is the memory it has. Here is the, technical specifications on what all the GPU can do, etc. Nobody cares. But if you basically say, I am here to make you a better photographer. I'm here for you to capture memories. I'm here for it to make a difference. I'm here to help you create, right? That, I think, appeals to an emotion.
People don't buy what you sell.
Products, right? I think, again, it's the same thing of the signal noise that I was telling you about, right? Human brains respond better to stories than facts, right? So it's important to tell a good story. And I think stories are what people remember. That's why podcasts work, right? Because you're telling stories, right? If you ran it like a class with a PowerPoint set of things, nobody would listen, right? The same thing applies for a brand. So how can you tell a story? We have a small brand that sells in the US called Folk Culture. It's inspired by folk tales from India, right? So we sell, hard goods, we sell pillow covers, but we bring Indian artisans to the US. Again, there's a story to tell, right? It's because folk tales from India and inspired by folk tales from India. So every brand needs a little bit of a story. If you want to really build a brand, it has to have a story. Apple has done it, Nike, just do it. It has nothing to do with a shoe, right? I mean, it's an emotion, right? It's about endurance, it's about resilience, it's about sportsmanship. You have to rise above the functionality of the brand and say, what's the story that you're trying to do, right? I can either say aromatherapy or I can say it's to make a better you and wellness, in the case of Majestic Pure. I think a better you and wellness is the right answer, as opposed to aromatherapy, which is a very functional view of saying I can sell you massage oils, body oils, reed diffusers, right? Nobody cares. But if I can say I can make a better you, right? You live your best life, then that story appeals. So telling stories which are clutter breaking is one of the other big things of brand building.
Got it. People don't buy what you sell, they buy why you sell it.
Yes, I think the why matters.
Understood. So now I want to talk to you about operational excellence. And we were speaking about tech and you spoke about Vasool Raja. Please tell us what is Vasool Raja and what must be the exact framework for a D2C entrepreneur to use tech in their business and achieve operational excellence.
So I'll start with why it's important. The why it's important is to build a large brand in India or globally, one needs to be a cost leader. I think let's start with that, right? It is not enough to make a sexy product. It's not enough to have the beautiful packaging. You need to be a cost leader, right? Why is that important? Because even if you sell it at a premium, it allows you to put more money into marketing and branding than otherwise. So I think the first thing that founders need to get is frugality is a value, right? And if you look at Brand Me, one of our core values is frugality. Frugality doesn't mean being cheap. It means doing more with less, right? So I think that's the first mindset shift that is needed, right? If you think about operational excellence, in my mind, operational excellence is 2 things. The first is a technology leg and the second is a culture leg. And both are equally important. We'll start with the technology leg because it's generally the more exciting thing, although I think the culture leg is equally important. It's a two-legged stool, so you need both to work. The technology leg is, there is a lot of hype today around AI. There is a lot of hype around generative intelligence, machine learning, all of that, right? I think the most important thing is to actually take your current business process, or actually not current business process, your current business problems, and say, what do I need to redesign this process and how do I simplify, automate or eliminate? Simplify, automate or eliminate. Automate or eliminate the process, right? We spoke about this Vasool Raja as an agent, right? I mean, essentially, look, reconciliations are the bane of every D2C founder.
Can you explain, sir?
So, reconciliation is when you have a reconciliation with the platform that you're selling through, right? Let's say, by the way, you have shipped 100 units to Amazon. Amazon, by the way, says they've received only 98 units. Or, by the way, 2 of the units are damaged, right, in transit. So, you get a debit note, which means, by the way, whatever profit you thought you were going to make, you're going to make 2% less or 3% less, right? This keeps happening constantly. And if, let's say, for example, we sell 10 million things a month, right? Whatever the number is. It's a large number of units that basically get impacted across very complicated set of platforms. Then what you have to do is you have to file a reconciliation saying this did or did not happen. So, for example, if you said, I've received only 90 out of 100 units, you have to give proof that you shipped 100 units and there was a proof of delivery on the other side.
To Amazon.
To Amazon, or to Flipkart, or to Myntra, or to Ajio. Everybody has a different process. Now, it's very complicated to do it because what do you need? You need some proof, which means you need a video in the warehouse that actually shipped it. You need a order management or a warehouse management system that has a digital record of where all it got scanned, what happened, etc. And then you need to put all of this together in some specific format that this person wants. Now, this is very difficult to do. So what happens? 2 things. One, most times people don't claim because you have a limited time where you can do the claim, right? Or second, if you do the claim, which large companies do, then you have an army of people doing it. Right? What we said is, can we take this process and build an agent that can actually do this? Seems very easy, but very, very difficult to do. Very mundane problem, but actually it's yielding us real results, right? So that's one example of it. Another example is the ads agent, right? It's very hard to run 100,000 campaigns 24/7. Remember, a large part of our revenue, I was telling you, comes from outside India. So the time zones are all different. So we used to have people who were doing in the night, right? We had like people who'd show up at 8 in the evening and stay through, which is not particularly great for anybody, right? So can you actually have an agent who can run with certain set of rules around what they need to do? So you take every element of operations in a brand, from new product launch, which is what is trending, what color, what ingredient, right? What specification is trending, to basically how do I do demand forecasting, which is, how do I think about a clustering algorithm that basically says this product is most similar to product X and therefore here is how much I should order in the first time. Or go to ads, or go to pricing, or go to supply chain and logistics planning, or to reconciliation. So you're taking the entire chain. How can I use technology to automate more and more and more of it? The reason this is important is it frees up people into thinking about improvement and decisions as opposed to gathering data, or as opposed to doing a lot of grunt work to get to something. So how much more of this can we do? And I think it's been a big driver for us, right? I think we have continued to be very lean in terms of people and costs and so on, because it actually makes a big difference to actually have some of this automation layer coming, right?
Got it. So do you have any other gaps that you can speak about?
Yeah.
Where tech is needed?
Yeah, so I'll give you one more example, right, which we spoke a little bit earlier about, but we have a pricing agent, right? There are 2 parts to problems of pricing, right? The first is, how do you price when you launch a new product? And second is, as a product ages, how do you reduce the price so that the inventory goes away, right? And what is the right way to do it so that you maximize the margin, right? It seems like a simple problem, but actually, again, if you use a lot of tech, you can be much more scientific about it because you can look at history, you can look at a lot of different data. So we've built a pricing agent that basically says, how do you actually price differently and how do you actually make this happen? And I think that's actually made a big difference for us. The third is demand forecasting. So how do you actually think about what is the right inventory level to keep? Again, if you look at it, now we have multiple channels. We have quick commerce, we have e-commerce, we have D2C, we have offline. All these have different rates of sale, growth, etc. And we have, let's take, in the case of party props, we have 3,000 SKUs. So how do you demand forecast 3,000 SKUs, right? Again, I think technology can play a big, big role, right? So I'm trying to give you specific examples. One thing I wanted to tell you is, look, the most impact from operational excellence happens in boring areas, right? It's not in the sexy, always in the front end areas. So I think, which brings me to the second point. I said there are two pillars. One is actually technology. The second is culture. You want a culture where people are excited about cost reduction. It's very hard to build, right? And I think, how do you continue to build it? And how do you make that exciting, sexy for people? How do you create contests? How do you create a point where people have pride in the fact that they're actually making things more efficient? And I think we have tried very hard at BrandMe to sort of create that culture, right? We have something called BrandMe Star Awards. So we give out awards for people who come out with the best cost reduction idea, right? And I think some of these make a big difference, right? I mean, somebody actually came up with an idea on vacuum packing something. Somebody came up with an idea on changing from 5-ply to 3-ply, right? In terms of what the external casing is. Now, this level of detail, most people will never get into.
Yeah.
Right? Most people, actually, founders don't care. I doubt whether, I don't know, I'm making a bold statement here. I think half the D2C founders, in my mind, or any founders, wouldn't know what their packaging costs yearly are. And if they did, whether it was 3-ply, 5-ply, what is the test, what is the 8-feet test. But I think those are important elements of how to run a business. And we talked about scale. Scale comes from eliminating efficiencies and running a very tight ship on things that actually should be run tightly. And then you have the resources and ability to do the marketing and the brand building and the exciting stuff.
Understood. Hi guys, if you loved watching this clip and if you want to do a deep dive into the podcast, we've mentioned the link in the description. So click that link, watch that podcast and take notes. Thank you for watching and subscribe for more clips.